Guess who's live? 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
And that is a good question indeed, Trinidad and Tobago. It's Sunday morning, so you know what kind of morning it is. It's a PEP kind of morning, and times are changing indeed. The song is titled Walk on Water. Are you ready to walk on water?
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Kevin, I tell you, the way they operate out there now, if you walk on water, people will ask if you don't know how to swim.
Oh God, now well, I go
Started off with a joke, hit them.
Then I want to go. All right, I know.
That's how they move in, brother. That's how they move in. We take it in stride and we move forward. Yeah. Good morning to all the loyal listeners. Good morning to everyone who's up and about. We already have 51 viewers on social media, so people are up and following this. Good morning. We're dealing with a lot of issues this morning. We're dealing with social management, specifically crime and policing. We want to address how the country is mismanaged and why it's mismanaged. And we want to put simple information into the public space so that you can make an informed decision. With knowledge, people are empowered.
But we have the and they can't get rid of the man. The man is like they say herpes or something. They can't get rid of it.
Marley McDonald is the herpes man. They treat that one and it keep coming back.
I saw a joke online about the earthquake that we received, and somebody thought that was Marley fall off the bed.
Chinny like to make joke about everything, eh?
I didn't feel the patient, but my fridge make a noise when the earthquake hit, and I was talking to someone on the phone, and she felt it, and she said, "It's an earthquake."
Kevin, I was doing a live video. We were doing a little telethon. We were doing a 4-hour video to sell out the tickets for the Curry Q. And it's pretty much sold out next week. But I mean, you could get, if you call an order, I'm sure Satish Ramsaran would fix you up. If you want tickets, it's next week, Saturday. It's that time already. And so in the middle of the little telethon, and we talking to people, and I said, this is an earthquake. But my normal response to an earthquake is, Philip up, Philip out. But I'm doing a live video. So I have to sit and look into the camera.
I'm worried we'll forget to go over the thing.
Exactly. So I had to sit it out, and people watch me and talking to me, and it was surreal. We were having a conversation while the earth was shaking around me. It was interesting. It was interesting to say the least. But yeah. Yesterday we were up in Barataria, got a lovely turnout.
Nice.
We got a lovely turnout. It spilled out into the street. For a while there, traffic had backed up in both directions, and the police came, and so there was some order, and it really was impressive to see that many people are just sharing. Those of you who follow on social media, feel free to share the video, because we're going to be dealing with some really interesting and informative topics this morning, because the nation has been led astray, Kevin. The nation has been led astray.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, you go ahead. You do your thing, because, I mean, you know, we're going to start now, so you do your thing.
All right, so lately, we have been seeing CNC3 dragging animals out to the zoo to parade them on camera, forcing them to play prediction games. They don't want to play these games. Now, I can't help but look at this and see this as some level of abuse. I put up yesterday, why did I bring a crocodile or an alligator out and see what happens? Let them pick somebody. Sorry, pick a team, not somebody.
Well, they might pick somebody.
Make it exciting, but
you're right.
On the whole, I'm thinking here, what's the PEP's policy?
No,
plans for animals.
But you're absolutely right on that.
Because there are many people out there who know who would, if you put a dog up and say, they like dogs. Because we like dogs, we like animals.
Yeah.
There are people out there in Trinidad, there still are, who like animals and would like to see something being done to care towards them, because we have too many strays. And the level of cruelty we see from our fellow human beings who literally don't care, we can't deal with it sometimes. I mean, not everybody is me and will actually challenge you and tell you to do something. kind of an abusive language, and they get the point. Don't test the red man.
Go test the red man. I can answer you now.
Yes.
You buffed me last time. I'm taking that chance. But to be serious, first of all, I absolutely agree with you. It is abhorrent, and it goes to the vacuous nature of our news media. That was done last World Cup with the octopus and all the right. Okay, so that was last World Cup, and that was done. So the world thankfully grows and matures as we go along, and I think that if you're in a situation where you can facilitate the use of animals to inform and educate and not exploit, we can understand that. But we don't know the circumstances. Personally, when I found out that there are movements in the world that promote the safe handling of animals in safari type enclosures, not these little
animals in movies, they have a movement to make sure that
not these little cages we have in our zoo and these little boxes we put them in. I mean, all that's cruel. To answer your question about the Progressive Empowerment Party, we have a team that's led by Dr. Shiva Varma and a couple other people, and the Progressive Empowerment Party is advocating an Animal Bill of Rights, and the Animal Bill of Rights is very comprehensive, and it protects from abuse and neglect domestic, farm, and wild animals.
I'm interested because there are so many people out there who abuse their animals.
Of just their animals. I saw this picture on Facebook with
people lock up almost 24/7.
Oh God, that was ridiculous.
And when the dog come up, what do you think the dog going to do? Not go crazy?
There was a guy, somebody took a picture of a guy driving a white pickup by Price Plaza, hanging a young manikou out of the van by its neck on a string, and I thought, how I wish the law of the jungle existed in Trinidad. How I would love to hang him by his neck on a string and ask him how this feels. How does this feel? Having a dog permanently tied, having cows permanently tied. We have to start making food choices based on the conditions under which the animals are reared. What is the score like now? I see you getting very excited.
I can't believe I see that the level of the roughing up they're doing. They're getting ready for a free kick and they pushing and shoving out the hand.
No, well, this is a very serious World Cup. It is an underdog.
The player grabbed the man, nearly turned down, and the referee blew him aside.
This is an underdog World Cup. This is an underdog World Cup. But yeah, I mean, and it's
goal too, boy. I believe that's England's score just now.
That's England. We
well, they rough up again. They scored 2 on it.
The situation is, I would really like to be at home right now watching that game. So I don't want to know what's going on over my shoulder. I want to watch it when I get home later. Yeah, but the Animal Bill of Rights is very important, and there are people who have cows permanently tied in one spot. Permanently tied in one spot, and the cows are fed. They're impregnated. Everything happens in that spot, and they call them permanently tied, and that is insanity. You could imagine what's going on in that animal's mind. These are conscious, sentient beings.
People forget that. They forget that these animals have feelings, and they think and they feel fear. They know what it is to feel frustration.
But how is it that at Trinidad and Tobago in 2018, with so many of our citizens who have taken public positions on things like animal rights, against neglect and abuse, how come we still have not yet enacted proper laws? All of our laws come under Summary Offences Act and is ridiculous laws. Our dangerous dog law was reactive. We tried to get a law that put responsibility for all pets on the owner. So it's not just if your pit bull or your chihuahua bites somebody, but the conditions under which your pit bull and your chihuahua is kept should be important to the law as well.
The thing is to see some of the owners, it's like, so long as I'd rather pay no money, go ahead and shoot the dog. They don't care. The dog was there to give its life. But that's the thing, everybody, you have your dog and you expect the dog to give its life to protect you. The thing is, the dog will. and you don't treat the dog with the kind of respect or the kind of the sacrifice the dog make him feel. That's just me.
No, you're not wrong. We were on a walkabout in Barataria, and my son showed me this property in Barataria. There's a house under construction on one side, and this house on the other side. And there's this big bully pit bull, and he's tied to a wall with a heavy canvas leash. And if it's 3 feet long, it's long. So he's there, and there are 2 bulls next to him. And he has 2 choices: sit up, lie down, right there in that one spot. And he can't move and he can't exercise.
Wall or fence around his yard?
There is, but he is tied to the what we call a gallery wall, the porch. He's tied to one of the breeze blocks that they made it out of, and he's tied in that position, and that's animal cruelty. And we don't understand. And to people who take animal rights and protection seriously, they want to give voice to the voiceless, and I guess that's what we do. The Progressive Empowerment Party looks for all the people in society that do not have a voice. And you have to bring sentient, conscious beings under that umbrella, because we can't say that only human peace of mind matters and human quality of life. Human beings are advancing to a stage where our consciousness is raising, and we're starting to understand that we share this world with other things. We live in an interconnected world, so that whatever we do here affects other people there. So we can't just dump our trash into the water and it finds its way into the sea, and that trash ends up in the food chain because the animals consume.
We reached that stage now where we're dumping trash in the water anyway.
Well,
we waiting for the flood now.
well, and this is going to bring us to the conversation we want to have, because all of that comes down to mismanagement, Kevin. It comes down to mismanagement, because the Parliament, now, all joke and fun aside, the Parliament's job is to write law, and the executive's, the administration's job is to enforce that law. That's how you run a country. A country is run, especially a Republican democracy like ours, is run by agreed laws. Social norms come out of law. We know that these are the things that we can do and these are the things that we cannot do. And society agrees to work together under those rules and regulations, and that's what holds society together. But when you look at what took place in the Parliament, outside the Parliament this week, right? Watching those people resort to having to come and lie down on the ground and act out this, I'm there for one of the people who were murdered. It was supposed to strike a chord, both in the government, who are responsible for the well-being of all the citizens right now, and to the opposition, who's doing that stunt and forgot that on their watch it was equally bad. Because we and the media has a lot to answer for here, because we call everything crime. I want to tell you something, eh? There's a difference between law breaking and organized crime. A difference. You get drunk and you pelt a stone and bust a window. You broke a law. That's punishable by law. You get arrested, you get charged, you go to court, and the magistrate or the judge is responsible for determining the circumstances and ensuring that a proper message is sent, that other people looking on say, boy, Kevin get fined $9,000 and he had to put back the glass, and they give him 4 months community service. I just see Kevin down on the highway picking up trash. Because they don't have to jail you.
You don't see anybody picking up trash in community service here.
But I know that, but I'm trying to make a point. They don't have...
That used to happen.
We saw Neanderthal and knee-jerk in how we manage this, because the difference between you doing that and people organizing, politicians, lawyers, businessmen, getting together and plotting criminal activity, researching the law, researching the systems of operations and finding mechanisms by which to skirt that, to criminally enrich themselves, that's a different kind of crime. And I look to our police service in all its unsophistication, and it's deliberate. Our police service is unsophisticated. Police don't come out the ground. Police service is created You create a police service, and you say you create a police service, and you fund it, and you organize it to the level of law enforcement that you need. Trinidad does not need yet law enforcement like they need in Ireland, driving around in armored personnel carriers with gun holes and water cannons. Not yet, but we could get there.
Yeah,
because
we could get there.
because society evolves or devolves based on how the rules are enforced. You cannot say that it is a crime to steal and arrest and jail the man who steal the pack of rice and the 2 tin of corned beef from the parlor and let the man who steal the $1 billion go free. You cannot say that who have the best lawyer win. You cannot set your country up in such a way that law enforcement is frustrated by the justice system. It can't work so. Because besides the fact that you'll be rewarding criminals, downstream from that, you'll be undermining society because the rest of the people looking on, correct, because the rest of the people looking on and saying, crime pays in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago is a criminal paradise. When you hear that we are this low on the corruption index, those are fancy ways of saying in Trinidad and Tobago, at the highest level, our people are thieves. They do not play by the rules. They are willing to corrupt it. They are willing, the word corrupt, if you drink a glass of water, pure water, it's pure water. If you add mud to it, you corrupted it. It's corrupted. It's no longer what it was supposed to be. It's now muddy water corrupted. It's water corrupted by mud. There are people who are willing to set aside human decency and work together to frustrate. And I'm trying to put this in as simple a language as possible to get as many people to understand as possible, because we blame in police. And I asked the commissioner of police, the acting commissioner of police, a couple of years ago. I was at a Chamber of Commerce, I don't know what it was a meeting on crime, a symposium on crime, and I asked them, I said, is the fraud squad, the anti-corruption squad, and the narcotics units properly funded and properly set up? He asked me, do you want an honest answer?
Yes.
Now I watch all 3 cameras, CNMG, TV6, CNC3, focused on me. And I said, yes, please. Are these units properly funded and set up? And he said, in a word, no. In a word, no. Nothing's changed. And that's the acting commissioner of police. Now, the Attorney General, Faris Al-Rawi, and the last Attorney General, Anand Ramlogan, the Attorney General between them was Garvin Nicholas, I believe. Those 3 men are jurists. They are officers of the court. They are practicing attorneys in Trinidad and Tobago that swore oaths that they would uphold the law without fear or favor, malice or ill will, and that utilizing the best of their ability not do damage to the profession or the country.
That is really their oath.
Yeah. They take an oath like that.
That just goes against everything a lawyer
that they do, of course, but stick a pin. Those 3 men were, one is the Attorney General now. You've had very learned people. Faris is not the best lawyer you will ever meet, but he's the Attorney General, and the state has access to resources where the Attorney General could get himself the support that he needs if the Attorney General doesn't understand, if he's swimming in water too deep for him to swim in, right? If he gets himself in a position. But what I'm asking is, the Attorney General is supposed to lead the conversation on issues like these. And at no point are we getting a conversation on the management of the police service from a position of, let us create and fund and set up a police service that is capable of dealing with white-collar crime. When Section 34 was passed into law from the Indictment and Criminal Proceedings Act, when that section of that act was passed into law, it created an easement for people who had matters before the court 10 years or more, and it made sense because there are people in prison right now who are in prison on remand that cannot access bail. They cannot afford a lawyer, so they're in a perpetual hold, which frustrates the Constitution and all of the agreements, all the international agreements, that United Nations agreements that this country is a signatory to. But Section 34 said it addressed that, and it did. But what it also did, it created a loophole for people who were guilty of white-collar crime.
Yes.
And there was a schedule of all the crimes that were exempt from Section 34. And that is blood crimes, murder, rape, treason. Those crimes were exempt. And white-collar crime should have been exempt as well, especially because you live in a country where businessmen make a joke. And I've sat on tables with big businessmen and top-notch lawyers, and the joke was, and this is a running joke, when you're stealing, steal lawyers' fees too.
And England has scored their second goal. It's 2-0 now.
Well, I know a lot of people are celebrating.
On a penalty. Now, it guarantees Panama is going to lose because the Panama team is frustrated and angry. That's why they got a penalty. It's just going to get them vexed. And
my phone is lighting up.
And they're going to do all kinds of things, and they will probably get more penalties, more free kicks will be awarded to England. That's just frustration. But England, 2-0 now.
Yeah.
I can't play. I'm facing the TV.
I know. Turn it off. Because I'm getting it on my Facebook, my WhatsApp. I'm trying to.
But it's frustrating what you're saying here. That this is hamstringing the legal system that is supposed to be justice for all, equal for all, and we realize it's not. Lawyers are making a killing.
But I want to ask you a question. Have you ever heard the Parliament sit down to address the administration of law enforcement and justice in this country from a position of, this is where we're at, it's not working. It's not working. It works for nobody.
It works for them. And once it doesn't touch them,
we mentioned
they're not going to fix it.
We mentioned the people who stuck in jail, and I want to finish that thought, because there are people who stuck in jail. If you have to write a Section 34 that address those people, and I'm saying it because the then Attorney General Anand Ramlogan, the Justice Minister Herbert Volney, and the Legal Affairs Minister Prakash Ramadhan all said that this is what, and it is these people for whom this law is being written. Now, if you have a system of justice that is so broken that a man or a woman, a citizen, could end up in a cage for more time than they could have served if they were convicted, something is wrong. If one of these people were, from the moment they were arrested, charged and convicted, somebody sent me in Toronto, right now, their court's not closing because it is their law that somebody's first appearance in court on arrest must be within 24 hours. Must be by law. In Trinidad and Tobago, they could hold you for 72 hours, and that 72 hours is not carved in stone. People are going to test that and push it further. We say we're a republic democracy and that we rule by law, but our laws are not clear, so they're open to interpretation. And in a real developed first world nation, you fix that and you address that. Faris Al-Rawi is a stunter. He's not a real lawyer. Anand Ramlogan used all of his time. Anand has a career that is laser aimed at Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj. Anand Ramlogan wants Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj's reputation, but he can't get it because Anand Ramlogan had an opportunity and he had the numbers in the parliament to fix things and did nothing. Section 34, when the mark bus, whether it was deliberately written for Ish and Steve or not, it allowed Ish and Steve freedom to evade answering for crimes their co-conspirators like Gutierrez in Miami admitted, confessed, paid penalties, went to jail.
Yeah. And they're still free.
They went to jail. The United States wants Ishwa Galbaransing and Steve Ferguson to answer money laundering crimes. We are not addressing these issues in Trinidad and Tobago because we don't allow real management of the country to take place. What's going on here is an abuse of office at multiples of levels. To the people who are stuck in jail this morning, and Kevin, I want to stick on that point. There are people stuck in jail this morning that have no way out because they have no access to a proper lawyer and they have no access to bail. So in a perpetual cycle. Now, again, I've said this for the past 10 years or more. This morning, the Chief Justice, the Director of Public Prosecutions, and the President of the Republic, all three could end that human rights crisis. The last time there was a human rights crisis this bad in the world, the whole world went to war. You do not allow a nation to take its people and jail them indefinitely.
That's true.
That's what's going on. We're saying that there's a reason, but there's no reason. You have to make sure that if you arrest somebody, that you can prosecute them or let them go. The onus has to be on the state. And it cannot be open-ended. We cannot say, well, boy, the system clogged. Bullshit. Yeah. Unclog the system.
Yeah, I agree, sure.
It's like the people who tell me, well, boy, Phil, the reason all the Coast Guard boats park up is we have no money for gas. Well, fire all the Coast Guard men.
That's ridiculous.
Fire all the Coast Guard men. If you have Coast Guard men and you have Coast Guard boats, but you can't patrol our borders because you can't afford gas, fire the Coast Guard men, sell the boats, and tell the narcotics runners Trinidad is open for business.
It is, and I'm going to say it, Coast Guard men might not like it. You know, some of you involved in that.
I ain't going down that road yet. I'm talking about the state. You know what? I'm not even...
Coast Guard boats too.
This morning, I don't even want to talk about corrupt Coast Guard men. I don't want to talk about corrupt police officers. I want to stick to the responsibility of the state. The state has a responsibility to secure this nation's borders. You cannot tell me that you are spending $9 billion on national security this year, but your Coast Guard boats are parked up in Chagaramas because you have no gas. That is foolish talk.
Fire Dillon.
That Dillon alone,
Fire Dillon.
Kevin, you have to fire the entire parliament. The same thing took place under Kamala. So it is either we do not want to end the drug trade in Trinidad or the government is complicit. And we have to have these conversations because it is not possible for you to own the boats and pay the Coast Guardsmen and not have gas. That's like you buy a Mercedes-Benz but you can't afford gas. What did you buy it for? Nobody buys a drill to have a drill. You buy a drill to have a hole, to make a hole. You have a Coast Guard to secure the coast. That's their job. It's in their name. Guard the coast. Not guard Hartscott Chagaramas. Guard the coast. Cocaine, we have 30,000 illegal guns in the country. And we have men in white with plenty gold bars on their shoulder that are responsible for 30,000 illegal guns being in the country. All those gold bars are a lie. They're a lie. And I'm trying to provoke Jason Kelshaw or his father to come to the nation and explain why the Coast Guard has failed this nation. Do not just get angry with me. One of the Kelshaw sisters got angry with me for saying on Facebook, this is not how you guard a coast. But don't get angry with me for telling the story. Answer why we're not guarding the coast.
That's true. What you getting vexed for? You getting embarrassed?
Billions of dollars of cocaine has been found in other jurisdictions originating from Trinidad. Billions of dollars. Okay? A man in England opened a soft drink that came from Trinidad, drank it and died. It was pure cocaine. Understand what's going on?
It was a fake label. A fake can.
Where in the media? Where's Judy Raymond this morning and the Newsday? You see, Judy Raymond and the Newsday, which is owned by a PNM former alderman, former chairman of Diego Martin Regional Corporation, who benefits from the PNM government, who has the public service insurance contract portfolio, will not stand up and speak out about these issues. There is only one person in Trinidad and Tobago. I've had to say this to a judge. There are lawyers now who are using the last loophole. Shut them up for defamation. The latest thing is defamation. If you call somebody name. But this is where we're at. There is no system working. I do not understand how the Director of Public Prosecutions, the President of the Republic, and the Chief Justice sleeps at night knowing there are so many people trapped in a penal system that they cannot escape, and all three of them have the power. Under the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Director of Public Prosecution could walk in any court. This is the law. He could walk in any court, civil or criminal matter, public or private, and vacate it. It's done. I say so. That's the power of the Director of Public Prosecutions, what we call the DPP. So the DPP could summon the Commissioner of Prisons and ask him for the roster of all the criminals they have in their possession, that they have custody of, and get from the justice system, from the courts, all of the matters these people are wanted for or being held for, with the exception of murder and treason and rape and those kind of crimes. Everybody else, if you are there, if the system has you for a matter that if you were convicted in the week that you were arrested, you would have served 5 years and you're there a day more than 5 years. If the maximum the magistrate or the judge could have given you was 5 years and you're there a day more than 5 years, vacate that sentence. Okay. The president, that's the power of the DPP. The president has similar powers. The president could summon all of these people to court, have them all plead guilty that day, and pardon all. The president could pardon 10,000 people if the president wanted. Pardon all. Let them go. The Chief Justice could summon them all, have them all plead guilty, sentence them all to time served, and let them go. We have a responsibility to be decent and honest in all our law enforcement at that level, and we have to be a lot more effective in our law enforcement at the top. Now we could come back
to the separation of powers. How can the PEP affect some kind of change, start some change, as ignite a change somewhere?
There's a separation of powers between the administration and the executive. The legislature writes the laws. Right. If you read the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, you'd realize that everything, the police service, the Coast Guard, the Director of Public Prosecutions, all of them are a subsection of a supreme law, the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And the body that is charged with amending or adjusting, reforming that law is the Parliament. The Parliament has the power to write into law, and our proposal for court is simple. Put a timer on all cases. Put a timer on all cases. Run a clock. From the moment somebody is arrested or charged or a case begins, there must be a timer running. That the judge and the magistrate who is responsible for the case management, that's who is responsible. The judge or the magistrate is responsible for the case before him or her. Put a timer on the matter. Civil matters, no more than 3 years. Criminal matters, including murder, no more than 5 years. I want to show you how that works. From the moment that case starts, the judge or the magistrate is aware that this has to be concluded within 3 years for a civil matter or 5 years for a criminal matter, or it becomes void, vacated, no effect.
Interesting, because remember Master Caesar and all the cases she had piled up, and she went to, I understand, well, she went out there dismissing all because she wanted to take the Supreme Court judge job. She didn't do all, of course, and she had her problems and now she's out. But God knows what she's doing. I don't even know what she's doing with herself now. But the fact is, she played. I think, to me personally, I think she played around a lot and extended these things just to play the judiciary game. And it caught up to her in the end. And she lied and said she was clear.
Yeah, but Kevin, you see, my position on this is we can't be treating our population like some people don't matter. I tell you something, even the most degraded human being, you could find the most drug addicted, homeless person in Trinidad and Tobago, and that person is still a citizen of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, still entitled to human rights, still entitled to civil liberties, still, yeah, they're saying this guy end about 5.
Nice shot too.
Ali Sek asked me, does this time limit include appeals all the way up to the Privy Council? Local appeals, yes. Privy Council, I'm not sure how quickly they expedite, but all of that could be a conversation, but I'm glad we're having the conversation. Because if you have judges and magistrates knowing that the case must be complete within 3 years for civil matters and 5 years for criminal matters, they will manage those cases differently. Because you have people showing up for a matter and the lawyer for the other side don't appear, or this witness don't appear. Good, right. But this is the power of the judge. When somebody is before the court for a matter brought under summary offenses by a police officer, and they at the court, this is the second time. Some people would wait 4, I wait 2. But by the 3rd time, you're before the court, and the judge is being told by the defense or by the prosecution that the witness, the police officer, is not in court.
That purpose they do that.
The judge is supposed to stand the matter down, issue a bench warrant, and send for that police officer.
They stay away from court on purpose.
No. Send to arrest and bring before the court that police officer. Because when you arrest somebody...
So you're talking about you want a separate police for the judiciary because...
Not at all.
Police to do
not at all. Not at all. Because in the United States of America, you could use New York City. Not at all. What they do is, the system works like this. There is law enforcement and there's prosecution. And until the prosecution needs the police officer as a witness, they have case management. They know that next week, Wednesday at 2 p.m., you are the witness. If you are not there, the judge has a right to send and arrest you. If you are not represented by somebody that says he's in surgery or he's at the dentist or something that is a reason for you being absent, and stand it down once. But I want to tell you this, and I want to finish this last piece. What puts the pressure on the judge and the magistrate is this. If you cannot bring your cases to a conclusion in the 3-year or the 5-year stipulated time, and the cases get voided, and they get thrown out of court, at the end of the year, when you evaluate all your judges and all your magistrates, those with the most amount of failed cases should be removed from the bench.
I like that.
Remove that judge and remove the magistrate for failure to do their job, because that's the judge's job. And we walk around thinking that this country is the enchanted forest, and we have elves and fairies and all these mythical creatures, unicorns and flying dragons. I did not going down that road with you. But a judge is a job. A judge is a job. It's a job. It has terms and conditions. Make one of the terms and conditions of being a judge or a magistrate, manage your cases. So you will find now that when the defense or the prosecution stands up and asks for a delay or a postponement of the matter, the judge would consult to find out how long is the clock.
I tell you, Panama dead. Panama frustrated. They're going to earn one after the other. 4 goals to 4-0. They're vexed. They said Panama will get more goals because they're frustrated they're losing.
Yeah. But I want to.
And one penalty, 3 free kick, and England has made goals on them.
If it's one thing,
they're playing hard because they're vexed.
I love football, but I've had to put the World Cup aside because there's an election time.
Yeah.
And we're using the opportunity as much as possible to educate and empower the people. Trinidad will never be emancipated or liberated until the people of this country are given the information they need to make informed decisions. Our truth is our nation is broken by design. None of these things that I am saying here.
Broken by design, because somebody, the author of this breakage, if you will, this destruction, is getting paid.
You think it's a person?
That's what it's come down to, getting paid. Who making the money off of the pain in the country? Who getting paid? To me, that's what it comes down to.
Well, and if you understand that there is a group of people to which you and I are not members, and they benefit financially from the brokenness of Trinidad and Tobago, and they keep financing political parties and politicians who will do their biddings. So what you have in the parliament is 41 puppets beholding to the people who put them there. They're not there to serve the people. They're not there under the Representation of the People Act. They're there under the I have to serve the bidding of my financier act. And that is an unwritten act in Trinidad and Tobago, but that has been running this country for a long time. But if you imagine that you live in a country where the justice system is ruled and it is governed, and the court is and the judge and the magistrate understand that they have a time frame, when a lawyer, prosecution or defense stands up to ask for an adjournment, the judge or the magistrate will consult to find out where are we in this case. What is the projected length of time we need again for this case that needs to close in a year or in less than a year?
It's talking something here.
But you asked me a question and I'm answering the question because that is a law that I'm proposing to you. That is an amendment to the existing structure. I'm saying to you, if you are living in a house that has 3 bedrooms, your wife is pregnant and you got a raise, so you have the money to build a nursery and you have the extra land, it's just a matter of planning and executing. And I'm saying to you, the problems in Trinidad and Tobago is as simple as identifying the problem and applying a solution. The Parliament has the power today, this morning, Sunday. There is no rule that prevents the Parliament from sitting today. Open the Parliament and sit down there, Keith Rowley and Kamla Prasad Bisesa and your bands of merry men, and do the people's job. Fix the court system first. Fix the police service. Fix the banking sector. You fix those 3 things. Should not fix for good,
That is a very real idea, strong.
Should not fix for good.
But imagine if it could change.
Kevin, if this morning it was made law that banks are brought under the regulations of the Banking Institution Act, and that those acts determined that banks must pay interest on depositors' funds. Put it back that banks must pay interest on depositors' funds. Banks will have no choice but to go back to lending money to make interest. Because when we allowed banks to remove the interest on the depositors' funds, banks started charging people a fee to warehouse their money.
Yes, and they eat out your money. I will never forget the moment in Scotiabank St. James told me, despite they making large, obscene amounts of money, they're not making enough. They're not making as much as they would like to. That's why they put all these extra charges on. That's what the supervisor said.
Yeah, but Kevin, again, I know that I sound like a stuck record when I say this. I am at the point where I want to fix the problem at the problem stage. I told the whole Progressive Empowerment Party, we are 90-10 people. 10% is the problem. 90% is the solution.
So you're saying you could fix the bank if you have an idea how to perhaps turn the banking system around for the benefit.
But I just told you, regulate the financial sector. You see,
the bank is the people in charge of the money, and once they're in charge of the money, they're pretty much untouchable.
Yes, but I'm saying to you that like everything else, banks are governed by rules that allow them to function.
But they make their own rules.
No, they can't. The Constitution of the Republic says, whereas...
There's something in the Constitution about the bank.
I want you to understand this. Whereas the people of Trinidad and Tobago, it starts with us. Everything that operates in Trinidad and Tobago is a function of, flows from, a law that is in keeping with the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. this matter that happened the other day when Jason Jones took the state to court over the Buggery Act. Yeah. The court had to determine if the law frustrated the Constitution. If you want to read the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and it is very clear, and I want to
5-0
in the first half.
In the first half, England slaughter Panama is going to get more goals because they're real vexed. They know they lose and they're just playing hard and they play nasty, and they're only going to get more penalties, more free kicks.
Yeah, but that's not being a football game. That's a slaughter. This is how the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago reads. And I tell people all the time that before the Constitution speaks of president, prime minister, or police, it speaks of the people. And the Constitution recognizes that supreme power in Trinidad and Tobago is vested in the people, not the president, not the prime minister, not the parliament, not the police. Supreme power in Trinidad and Tobago is vested in the people of this country. The people vote representatives into parliament, and those representatives are supposed to act on the will of the people and write law to govern and operate this country in the best interest of the people. That's it. That is the user manual for our country. Yeah. It is why we're able to say that the well-being of the citizenry is the function, purpose, and reason for government. The only purpose government serves in society is to look after the well-being of people. What comes under well-being is everything. Roads, street lights, water, public health, jobs, bank regulations, anything that goes to make up your life that can be governed, regulated, or administered, government has a role there.
So you're saying the PEP is planning to reintroduce the people, to remind the people that you have more power than you think.
But that's the whole plan.
We gave up a lot of our power because, to me, I believe it's just because we didn't care. We couldn't be bothered.
We've been led astray. There was a time when...
What are you going to do? That's what we like to say. What are you going to do?
But they were told that was their response. It's easy to... People learn. You and I didn't know the things we know now. We learned them. Yeah. We went through life. We went through education. We read. We researched. We got information. We assimilated and put it together into our minds, and we developed a certain knowledge base. We know that now. 10 years ago, I didn't know so many things I know now. 20 years, 30 years. Yeah, sure. Like you. So people learn. What we have is a country, and the political representatives of Trinidad and Tobago have done the people so much wrong, because they've masqueraded as representatives of the people, and instead of serving the people, they've served the moneyed class, certain business interests that wanted Trinidad to be corrupt. But I want to tell you this, the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago says, whereas the people of Trinidad and Tobago have affirmed that the nation of Trinidad and Tobago is founded upon principles that acknowledge the supremacy of God, faith in fundamental human rights and freedoms, the position of the family in a society of free men and free institutions, the dignity of the human person, and the equal and inalienable rights with which all members of the human family are endowed by their Creator. That is the first section. Whereas the people of Trinidad and Tobago respect the principles of social justice and therefore believe that the operation of the economic system, I want you to listen to this, I want you to see where the government has been breaking the law, the supreme law of the land. That the operation of the economic system should result in the material resources of the community, that is Trinidad and Tobago, being so distributed as to subserve the common good, that there should be adequate means of livelihood for all. The Constitution says, that is our Constitution. The Constitution says the government's job is to make sure that there are jobs. if the government cannot make sure that there are jobs, fire the government, because the Constitution says so.
Well, that is our Trinidad and Tobago Constitution. The government has responsibility.
Not some.
That's why I changed
Complete.
it. They have responsibility, complete responsibility.
It says,
for the well-being
Section
of
B
people.
says that respect the
Not
principles of...
themselves only.
Whereas the people of Trinidad and Tobago respect the principles of social justice and therefore believe that the operation of the economic system should result in the material resources of the community, the nation as a whole, being so distributed as to subserve the common good, that there should be adequate means of livelihood for all, that labor should not be exploited or forced by economic necessity to operate in inhumane conditions, but that there should be opportunity for advancement on the basis of recognition of merit, ability, and integrity. That means you can't just bring jobs and say shovel manure whole day. The government has a responsibility, and I want my...
They have to go beyond secret.
I want my people to hear and understand this. I want my people... You see, we call the party the Progressive Empowerment Party for a reason. When I say that our first mission is not to get office, our first mission is to inform and educate so that we empower the people. I want our people to know that if the PNM government and the UNC government before it did not understand that its first mission, its first responsibility was the people, they should never have been hired. They should be fired and never hired again. This is what Keith Rowley and Kamla Persad-Bissessar need to be speaking to when they talk to the people. This is what all their members of parliament are supposed to be speaking when they speak to the people. A member of parliament is not a royalty work.
You don't realize that.
A member of parliament is the employee that you and everybody in your constituency say, listen, 42,000 a week can't go to the Hyatt. So we'll send Jim. Jim, you go to the Hyatt and you represent us.
Our interests, our ideas, our problems, our solutions to our problems.
That's what it is. That's why it's called the House of Representatives. Because Toko sent Mary and Diego Martin was sent John. So John, Jim, Mary, and the others that make up the 41 constituency representatives of the country are supposed to meet and agree to secure the well-being of the citizens of the country. Out of their lot, they say, you know what? It's 41 a week. Let's agree that some of us will take responsibility for actually getting the job done. And that's what a government is. A government comes out of the 41 in the parliament and they say, Charlie, we will support you. You are the member of parliament for wherever. We support you, form a government. That's it. But the 41 people who do that, who make those decisions, their job is to keep coming back to you and saying, listen, this is where we reach in the conversation. They want to devalue the dollar. They want to change the Court of Appeal from the Privy Council to the CCJ. They want to change the age of when women could get married. They want to enforce or repeal the death penalty. They're supposed to come back to you on all of those issues and ask you, what do you think? Because I am there.
Remember, people, we are the ones who have the power.
The member
That's why they have to come back and ask us.
Kamla Persad-Bissessar is first and foremost the spokesperson for the people of Separia in the House of Representatives. Keith Christopher Rowley is first and foremost the spokesperson for the people of Diego Martin West in the House of Representatives. That is what his job, his role in society is, his function.
Yeah, it is.
Section C. Whereas the people of Trinidad and Tobago have asserted their belief in a democratic society in which all persons may, to the extent of their capacity, play some part in the institutions of the national life and thus develop and maintain due respect for lawfully constituted authority. That means the supreme law of Trinidad and Tobago calls for the organization of Trinidad and Tobago with some sort of management. So we say 1.4 million of us meet in the Queen's Park Savannah. We have a conversation. We say, listen, let's put somebody in charge of the economy, in charge of public health, in charge of education. Let's put somebody in charge of managing national security and the economy. Let's put somebody, what we call that? We call that government. Who are we going to put? Who are we going to put? Somebody will say, well, all 1.4 million of us shouldn't be having this conversation. So, all right, how about if we organize ourselves into 41 constituencies and each of us send somebody to speak first? 41 of them will talk. Or let's send them with all your views. We'll send ours with our views. And let them get together and put together and come back to us and discuss with us on a timely manner what's going on, what they're trying to accomplish in our names. Section D. Whereas the people of Trinidad and Tobago recognize that men and institutions, listen to this, remain free only when freedom is founded upon respect for moral and spiritual values and the rule of law. We are a republic. A republic is a nation ruled by law. That's what it means. A nation ruled by law. Not by a prime minister, not by a president, not by a regime. A nation ruled by law. There is a law for everything. Whereas we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, desire that their constitution should enshrine the above-mentioned principles and beliefs and make provision for ensuring the protection in Trinidad and Tobago of fundamental human rights and freedoms. So I bring you back to the people incarcerated this morning. We are breaking the law, the supreme law. The government is breaking the law. That's what's going on. And if we don't address that, Kevin, we will continue to lead ourselves astray. Following on that, this is the next and important thing. It's called Part 1, Rights Enshrined. It is hereby recognized and declared that in Trinidad and Tobago they have existed and shall continue to exist without discrimination by reason of race, origin, color, religion, or sex. The following fundamental human rights and freedoms, namely A, the right of the individual to life, liberty, security of the person, and enjoyment of property, and the right not to be deprived thereof except by due process of law. But taking somebody and jailing them in a system where they cannot access bail and they cannot access a lawyer, so they cannot get represented in the court, is not due process of law. And stretching it out to 30 years so that a man is incarcerated for 30 years of his life for a matter that at worst he could have been convicted for 5 years is a crime against that man.
Yeah, no, that's a crime against you. That's a human crime.
And we still don't know if that man is guilty. He is
Alleged.
He is presumed innocent. We know cases where police officers have arrested and charged people, give people a case maliciously, wrongful prosecution, and it works its way through the system. And you spend the next 15 years of your life, your limited life, your precious life. Exactly. Exactly. But they get away with it in a country that is mismanaged. Now, if you had a proper internal affairs unit of the police service and your family member was able to come and say, listen, Kevin is in jail because that police officer wanted to get with Kevin's girlfriend. That's why Kevin had been arrested. And they investigate that police officer and they realize that the prosecution was malicious and wrongful. They then charge that police officer and vacate your matter. And a proper country run like that, and it doesn't have to be who know who. You don't have to know Philip Alexander to get your case dealt with. Or you don't have to know Philip Alexander to get your rights protected. We put systems in place as the Constitution says, and we let the country run. We elect into public office people who are capable of reading and carrying out a simple law. Section B of rights enshrine the right of the individual to equality before the law and the protection of the law. It says it again. C, the right of the individual to respect for his private and family life. D.
Funny thing, I didn't know when to use that one. The right of the individual to respect their private life. They know when to use that one for public figures demanding that they have the right to privacy. Public figures. I want you to public figures are what they stand for. And when you become public, you have to give up your private. You have to become an exemplar. You have to put yourself on a pedestal because you're a good person. You're setting the right example.
You know what the term you're looking for?
Yeah.
Civil leader.
Okay.
You're looking for the term civil leader.
Okay, but that's not good actually. I wasn't looking for that.
No, but I'm telling you, a civil leader, that person's role and responsibility in society is to set an example to the other people.
Yeah,
by the way they carry themselves.
Stand up to public scrutiny.
Absolutely.
Instead of trying to shut the public up when you're doing something wrong, don't give the public a reason.
But absolutely. But absolutely. And office holders, elected and appointed public office holders, have a responsibility to keep the air clear surrounding themselves and their term in office. If there is a public association or assumption of you while you are in public office, the onus is on you, even though he who alleges must prove. But if there is a cloud of uncertainty around you, you have to understand that because you are a civil leader and that society is looking to you to lead, if you are setting a bad example, you need to address that. Section D, the right of the individual to equality of treatment from any public authority in the exercise of any functions.
Yeah.
Section E, the right, listen to that, I want you to follow from here. The right to join political parties and to express political views. The right of a parent or guardian to provide a school of his or her own choice for the education of his child or ward. Freedom of movement. Freedom of conscience and religious belief and observance. Freedom of thought. Freedom of expression. Freedom of association. Freedom of assembly. And finally, freedom of the press. And I want you to understand why I said finally, freedom of the press. Because we live in a country where the right of free press has been corrupted by the owners of the media in Trinidad and Tobago and by practitioners of the media. This morning, if Asha Javid, investigative journalist of the Express, is still in an intimate relationship with Stuart Young, PRO of the PNM and de facto minister of everything in the PNM government, she is corrupting journalism in Trinidad and Tobago, because it is the function of media to hold a spotlight on public office holders. And if she is literally and figuratively in bed with government, she cannot do that.
She would say she keeps her personal life separate from her private.
That is an insanity predicated on ridiculousness. You cannot have man and woman together in one situation, adverse in another. Especially in a situation where Asha Javid is supposed to investigate Stuart Young continuously. She is supposed to have an open file as an investigative journalist. She is supposed to have, listen to this, well, I don't know, but I'm saying to you, because this is for all of them. When Hema Ramkisoon was with Gerald Ramdeen, these people don't understand that their job in society is to have an open file on these public office holders. That's their role. We watch you on TV, we read what you say, because there is an expectation that we can trust what you say. And the expectation is that you would keep us informed as to the activities of those we elect to public office. If you compromise yourself and can no longer do that, you've made media valueless to society. And this is the point that I've been trying to make to journalists. But that's at that level. At the level of ownership of the media. The government of Trinidad and Tobago owns CNMG. So nobody gives that any sort of credence where trustworthiness is concerned. The government could manipulate CNMG. But when the state bailed out, acquired Clico, it acquired One Caribbean Media. It acquired TV6. It acquired The Express. The government has a direct ownership of TV6 and The Express. You cannot trust that group, and the government should be forced to divest that even if it is into a public trust. Guardian Media Limited is owned by the Sabga Empire, who took their chief operating officer, Jerry Brooks, and put him as a senior board member for the People's National Movement government in the energy sector and other places, and are material beneficiaries of the government, including and not limited to advertising in their media that is propping it up today. That makes it impossible for Guardian Media to be an effective agent or watchdog of the people. And we need to see this, and we need to say this. When Judy Raymond and Jones P. Madeira works for a Newsday empire that benefits from PNM appointments and PNM contracts, Jones P. Madeira and Judy Raymond cannot use the Newsday to publish against the PNM. So their ability to be an effective watchdog in society is nullified.
That's what the press is supposed to be, a watchdog towards the government, for the people.
There is only one media house in Trinidad and Tobago not beholden to the government. 104.7. This station. This radio station is the only media house in Trinidad and Tobago that is still free and fair media.
That's true. I think that's very true. I have a quote here. I'm sure it was from you. I copied this last year. I still hold it because it still stands true. You remember this?
Sorry. Who wrote this?
I don't know. I think I got it from you.
Oh gosh, what am I reading? But both men must understand this. When one becomes a public official, they also become public property. In case they are unaware of what this entails, it means they and their colleagues alike, who are perceived to be exemplars due to their high office, must adopt an ethical, moral code which will allow them to stand up to any scrutiny, since as public officials they are answerable for all aspects of their lives, public and private. This does not mean merely being discreet, as some have argued, but being ethically and morally correct in their actions at all times. If the gentlemen and all those who offer such arguments are unable or unprepared to accept such guidelines in the current offices they hold, they should also be prepared to make their departures, since the scrutiny will not end. There is a judgment that was handed down in a case in Great Britain where the judge knew that the defendant was guilty, but because the state witness had corruptly gotten the information, had to vacate his own judgment and made a landmark that is forever quoted. He made a landmark statement that says, justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done.
Yes.
When Keith Rowley went home by Ken Gordon, when Keith Rowley was the leader of the opposition preparing to prosecute the government over Emailgate, when Keith Rowley went to Ken Gordon, who was then the chairman of the Integrity Commission, and Keith Rowley met with Ken Gordon alone in his home, the two of them corrupted the system, because there is no way to verify what plots or plans took place. Now, I know the entire Gordon family, and prior to that situation, Ken Gordon and I were friends, I would walk around the savannah 4 o'clock in the morning with Ken Gordon and pick his brain. He's a man I have the greatest respect for. And I thought that the position he adopted when Keith Rowley called him on the phone and said to him, I'd like to come over. Ken Gordon was supposed to say, do you understand that I am the chairman of the Integrity Commission, an organization charged with making sure you don't break the law? That's my job.
Brought the Integrity Commission into disrepute.
Go ahead, take a break.
Yeah, we should take a quick break.
Yeah.
We should take a need some water.
Yeah.
Take a break.
We've been talking for an hour.
We've been taking take a little bit music. We'll be back after this.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. You need a little break.
Take a little break.
That's a long talk.
We had it, yeah.
5-0. I don't know. Panama does tomorrow. Say, look, we done. We going home. You can't come back from 5-0. Sorry. You can't come back from that. And they're playing hard. They go play nasty because because England don't have nothing. They don't have anything, and they win. They know they win.
5-0 though.
And because Panama playing hard, Panama playing stink, and they get his penalties and free kick, they scored their 5 goals on. All because Panama ain't not playing nice. They vexed. That first goal came too soon and frustrated them. It just made things worse. Look, Panama getting one again.
They score again?
No, the players getting one again. Every one of them again. Look, England have a free kick. Actually, England don't want to try hard anymore. They know they win already. 5-0. See me, I reached this stage, I don't know, I kind of feel give up. I can't give up right now. I just don't care anymore. It's just too much going on.
On what?
Life and
No.
It's depressing. She told me she wanted to go Antigua. She got a job offer in Antigua. She thinks she's good to go. To be a principal for a school. So I tell her, go. She was working government and a couple months now then pay her.
You want to take some calls?
You can take some calls. Yeah, we have done.
Let's take some calls. We're gonna take some calls. That's why I'm putting on the headphones, folks. Feel free to share the video. We're on a little break. Kevin playing a song. Give him a vocal cords arrest.
That's right, indeed. What is your contribution for a better Trinbago indeed? You can't just sit down and say, well, what are you going to do? That's how it is. We're accepting too much of the wrong. We're accepting too much of the nonsense. We're accepting too much of the failures of our leaders. We failures, and they lying, constantly lying, and they have to do this okay with that because they play on the right team. They have the same race. That is nonsense. When will our leaders learn that it's time to be country first, not party, and not self first? We accepted too much of the nonsense. And hey, tomorrow, coming hard tomorrow. Coming hard tomorrow on certain people tomorrow. Well, they might have an idea who. But people, we want to hear from you. We would like to hear from you indeed.
What's the number? 628-9595.
Jump in numbers on them now. People don't give all of the numbers here. Okay. Wrong one. Who is it wrong? This is the one I was meaning to play. Alright, people, so here's the number 628-9595, 628-3131. Philip Alexander is here in studio, the leader of the PEP, or the interim leader, which one is it?
Boy, you can call it whatever. We allowed ourselves to be interim because We want to have an internal election. We're doing it in September. When you form a political party, the group that forms itself elects each other to positions, and then you carry on until you're a national party, and then you have national elections. But everything has been happening so quickly with this party. So
that's right, people. So if you have a question for Philip Alexander, well, you hear the number 628-9595, 628-3131. Call him, ask him about his thoughts, his views, what his party is planning to do, what his plans are. Well, do you have a question? Now is the time to
last time I was here, we spent the second hour talking about food, and I get both. They tell me stay on point. They don't want us to take a break. They just want to learn. They want to learn more.
You heard the ideas I brought up this morning about the animals, because I am a person who likes animals.
Kevin.
You know how bad your dog is. I will make friends with your dog and take your dog if I want. But you know, I don't do that, because I respect people who want to have their dog. I take care, when I've had pets, I took care of them. And the way that CNC3 is abusing these animals, despite the fact that certain people telling me is they're giving the zoo a chance to showcase the animal. You know, if they want to showcase the animal, they could perhaps do a little, maybe a 15 minutes every day if you want, focusing on an animal in the zoo. Talk about it a little bit, look at it. You know, they could do that instead of traumatizing it by bringing it into the studio with all these people. I'm just saying.
That's exploitation.
But I understand certain people are back in the country. I was hearing from a CNC3 person and is, you know. Good morning. Hello. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Christoph Samlal, yesterday we had our launch. If you go on my Facebook profile, you'll see a video. They have no other parties. Well, at the end of the... Thank you. He's correct, yeah? And I mean, at the end of the day, all the political parties, the caller calling, I just realized our people on social media are not going to hear.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. Hope you're having a lovely Sunday.
I know this man. He's come here and talk about this all the time.
How do we let them hear?
I do know. That's why they started putting the headset on it. That's just as I headset on the phone, or my phone. That voice, that's a C-man voice, Shadow, I think.
Yeah,
I hear you.
To the people following me on Facebook, until we find a way, because you see, you can't turn on the station monitor while the mics are on, we'll get feedback, and you will hear that feedback. So we can't let you hear, unfortunately. But if you have access to radio, it's 104.7. They're also online. There's an app.
Yes,
More FM app.
Just when they go into the
App Store, any of the app stores.
Or the iTunes Store, it's there. The pink and blue apps. They put type in More FM radio, More FM 104.7. You'll find it. It's right there.
Download the app. Tune into 104.7. Is there? Are you on website? Anything like that? No live streaming.
That kind of an iffy thing, right? No, I
we will come up with a system because we want to be able to take calls. And anybody that's listening now, if you would like to call in, 628-9595 and 628-3131 to answer the caller who just called, who asked about investigating what's going on with the government and the procurement of the vessels for the sea bridge. We know that it is a deliberate act of sabotage that shut down the Superfast Galatia. We know it's a deliberate act of sabotage that shut down the Port Authority, that the government wanted the ability to go and make their own purchase decisions and spend taxpayer funds to the benefit of others.
Yeah, they got rid of a boat that was working just fine.
I never saw a situation like the galleon, like the Superfast Galatia, where it, when on its last trip, the state of Trinidad and Tobago hijacked it, sent the Coast Guard.
Yeah, because they were vexed. They frustrated them, then forced them to leave. And then they realized, wait a minute, they can't leave. There are people here. The people getting on. And we don't have a new boat yet.
Yeah.
And they cut out and leave.
And no, well, the Superfast Galatia, and they made them make another trip. And they made the trip and then they left.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what? The money you have for we keep that. We just never come in there Trinidad and Tobago again.
They frustrated them
It
to
blighted,
leave so they could bring their own boat here.
It blighted our name in the world. That Trinidad and Tobago is not an organized, it's not a country to do business with, and that's sad.
I'll tell you that already. If somebody saw money to be made and they weren't the ones making money, and you know the person name who we could call about that, and a protest outside his office, he ain't coming yet, building highway, he know what he's doing. They knew the Sea Bridge have a lot of money to be made on it, to frustrate the situation, get rid of what was there because we not making no money there, bring in all the different boats, everybody get a hand and take a share in the money. And the economies like Harvestar, Bridgeman, that where the money went, I talk about it. Tired talk about it.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, boy Kevin, you and I have to remember that we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we are the fifth estate, and we have a responsibility to society. I was reading the Constitution and the opening of the Constitution to get Trinidadians to understand that we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we have the power. Stop voting people into power. Vote people into office. Vote them into public office and you keep the power. That's how it's supposed to be run. Under the People's Partnership Government, they spoke about addressing constitutional reform. Baslio Pandey talks constitutional reform, but none of them speaking factually to what they will reform. The Progressive Empowerment Party stands for the separation of the legislature from the executive. And what that basically means is no member of parliament should also be employed as a minister. You should have one job: represent the people of your constituency. That's it. You are the member of parliament for your constituency. Come to the parliament and tell us what your constituents want. That's your role, that's your job. So maintain 3 office days a week with your constituents and come to the parliament twice, so that we know as a collective what all the people of Trinidad and Tobago wants. That is important, that is critical. We need to separate the legislature from the executive and make it so that no member of parliament could ever be made a minister of government. We need to also enact recall legislation.
Yes.
Right now we live in an elected dictatorship. Yeah. It's like they could win the whole World Cup in one game. But enact recall legislation. What recall legislation means is that if you elect a member of parliament to office and they are not doing the job that you send them there to do, the same way by which you hire them, you fire them. You sign a petition, you take it before the state, before the Elections and Boundaries Commission, and you fire your member of parliament.
That's
you recall
right.
them.
That's right. You're showing them that you are the ones who, it's a job they're doing. You have the power. Good morning. Hello? Yeah? No? No. People, imagine if you had that kind of power. You have that kind of power, people.
The people of La Joqueta Talparo this morning should be recalling Maxi Coffee. They've not had a representative in the parliament for 10 months. And telling me that, oh gosh, have some decency, the man's sick. Let the man be sick.
Dead.
Listen, even if you want to help him, don't help him at the expense of the people of La Joqueta Talparo. You could do both. We could whistle and walk. We could whistle and walk.
That's right. That's why people imagine if you had that power. They don't want you to have that power. Good morning. Hello? Yeah?
Hello? Hello, good morning. You hearing us? Hello, are you hearing
Use
us?
your phone. Listen to us on the phone.
Hello, are you hearing? Yeah, are you hearing us? Good morning. Thank you for that. Our policy, first and foremost, where the economy is concerned, and we want to have a minister of diversification. In the Ministry of Finance, we want to have two finance ministers, a minister of the economy and a minister of diversification. And the minister of diversification's job is as simple as the name implies. His job is to diversify the economy. I like when the king of Saudi Arabia said, we don't care if the price of oil reaches $1, we will survive.
Yeah, they could survive.
Dubai have a diversified economy. Dubai they do not live and die on the price of oil and gas. Trinidad and Tobago does, and that is wrong. It's been wrong. It's criminally wrong that governments have refused to do their jobs, and that we've never had a government that was willing to bite the bullet and diversify the economy. We have massive plans to diversify the economy into shipping, cruise ship tourism, agriculture, joint venture business with international partners. There are a lot of plans. With regards to the energy sector, the idea is to continue to exploit it, but to exploit it sensibly, to make sure that we lead the world. Again, Trinidad used to lead the world in a lot of stuff. I mean, we could lead the world in alternative energy sources. We could put our entire national footprint on renewable energy, and whatever oil and gas that we can extract, we extract it to the maximum benefit of the stakeholders. But it should not be that the entire economy is standing on one leg. And that is what has been our boom and bust for too long. If we could set as a target to reduce the energy sector to 1/3 of the economy, if we could say that 33% of the economy is built on as a first step and reduce it further to 25%, you'd be able to manage the country in a lot better way. The vicissitudes of the energy sector would not play as big a role as it does in the country.
Imagine that. You see, what we have right now is governments that come and go, basing everything on the oil. It's strange. Now me, I base it on that. Somebody else will fix the problem. Good morning.
Good morning. Trying to keep smiling. How are you? (682-2110). 682-20. No, 68. No, let me start over. Let me start over from the start.
We started completely over, so scratch everything. Starting over now.
682. Then is 2110. Yeah, that's my number. Correct. That's the way. You're welcome. Somebody called for my number. And it was not a girl. TNT could expect $23 billion in investment in the downstream energy sector over the next 4 years, according to a secret Ministry of Energy document. I stopped reading right there. I don't trust this government. I don't trust Colin Bird. I'm seeing this as the same way he could have created a fake recession, he is creating a fake boom. These people playing with the people of Trinidad and Tobago, you know. And the riot that Colin Bird keep provoking them for. I think if they don't behave themselves, the people will give them the riot they're looking for. This is madness. You cannot continue to run a country with such a lack of information. The media cannot continue to be a platform by which government stunts and lies to the people. And that's what's going on. That's what goes on. So whether or not, I mean, hear what they're talking about, aluminum ingot processing wire and cable plant, aluminum ingot processing flats complex, solar park cluster comprising 4 plants, methanol to polyolefin plant, a TTPV wind plant, a derivative. All of these things are things that we've been speaking about, especially the wind plant, because the wind plant, now they don't want to address this with the public, but the company that came here has been speaking since Manning, and they've been saying that we have the ability to build wind farms in Manzanilla and power the Caribbean.
Power the Caribbean, not just Trinidad, the Caribbean.
The Caribbean.
Wow.
You see, people don't understand how interconnected the world is. Right now, people talking to me online, seeing me all over the world, not realizing that there are massive undersea cables that connect the world and create the internet. It's not a magic thing. Everything requires physical infrastructure. And if we could build in physical infrastructure, judging by your face, is it 7-0?
I thought so. The guy another free kick, it came close.
Listen, you cannot have a government running the country by VAPs, making policy on the hoof. You need a sensible, the society is unstable because it doesn't know where we're going. It doesn't know what is the national target. We don't know what's the legislative agenda. We have no idea what the government is trying to do, what its plan is. Your Attorney General said, and the media published, 2,569 gang members. We know their names.
Wow. How did you know that?
That's the obvious question. The media copies and pastes releases from the government without asking one single critical question. Not one. I remember when Colm Imbert magically told the world that his recession was over. And I asked the world, I said, 2 or more quarters of negative economic growth heralds a recession.
Yeah.
Right? So if that is the case, then there would have to be a quarter of positive growth to herald the end of the recession, yes?
Yeah.
It stands to reason. Counterintuitive, yes? Basic common sense. When Colm Imbert announced to the media that the recession was over, why didn't one journalist ask him, where is the central bank document that said we just had a quarter of positive growth?
Even certain people inside running there and all playing on red team. Yeah, you're not going to see that. They're all playing on the same team. Government has its tentacles in everything right now.
And that's why we say to Trinidad and Tobago, they need to vote a government into power that is unbeholden to these oligarchs, to these business interests that have organized themselves into a contractocracy where they have lawyers and accountants and politicians and businessmen, and they come up with this whole concept. I read Colm Imbert's list.
Themselves and party. And
but I read Colm Imbert's list and I'm thinking, public funds going to be wasted as the bandit clan starts to feed. That's what I think. I don't think positive downstream benefits for Trinidad and Tobago. We just upgraded Petrotrin plant and costed the people of this country billions of dollars that we will never recover. Unless the world goes to war, oil is not getting past this price.
And the funny thing is there are probably people out there who want the world to go
but they're praying for war.
Because they want the price to go up. And they'll say, well, look, the war going on, people getting killed on a massive scale, and it's okay because the price of oil going up.
What's that on your phone, a screensaver? That makes all that noise.
I forgot that keeps coming up.
When we brought up the issue of the pitch league, they tried to minimize it. They tried to distract from it. They tried to deflect from it. They sent Inchan Ishmael and Marcia Braveboy, one from the PNM and one from the UNC.
And it's actually in the public space and people asking about
it. It forced a conversation, but it is we who brought up the issue of the Superfast Galatia, and we said the Superfast Galatia is going to be fired. When it happened, people started writing me and asking me if we have a crystal ball. On the morning Keith Rowley announced that there was going to be by-elections in Trinidad 2 hours before, I shared on Facebook, if you would like to be part of our election team, message me. We have the ability to collect information properly throughout the country. We've been doing media management and listening to the national conversation for so long, it's become our natural posture. So that you guide the people based on This is what the people want. This is what the people are saying. I remember when Gary Griffith was Minister of National Security, and you can say what you want about Gary, but he's smart enough to understand that the people's right to know is the most important thing. So they end up saying Gary's talked too much. But what that was we were making sure that nothing was happening in Trinidad and Tobago, in law enforcement or national security, and the people didn't know everything about it. The people knew so many details that it was impossible to panic them. They say, nah, that's stupid. They have a thing for that. The people have a thing for all of that. And there was so much being done. And that's what you're supposed to do to run a country. And still, he is the only government minister, I guess, in the history of this country that I could say I respected his ability to do the job. Personalities aside, Gary and I fight publicly on different positions where the politics is concerned. But for that point, I know he understood his job. And we need to make sure, and we have national security designates in the Progressive Empowerment Party. Dilworth Braffett has top secret United States military clearance. He's a deputy political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party. Richard Blaze is so knowledgeable on security management, because that's what it comes down to, you know. Security management. It's not the whole job. It must dovetail with social management, because if you're creating crime to solve crime, you're fooling yourself. Yeah. If you properly...
That's what we say now, they're creating it to solve it.
If you properly manage this society, you will stop producing criminality. Look to the countries like Holland and Sweden and Switzerland, who now have jails they cannot use. Japan is renting police officers as security guards and to do other services, and they are taking on no new police officers because crime is so low. Having a police service has become a drain on their treasury. In Japan, a guy did a video the other day. He went into a food court in an airport, and he put on his table, he show you, this is my laptop, this is my wallet. One of those countries, right?
Singapore would have all these cameras.
No, but
he left everything right. Then he went up for the day.
He went up. Nobody dare touch it. But nobody dare touch it. But Japan is that too, and Japan is that too. And in the Japanese culture is worse. There was a video on about. No, but there was a video. There was a video in Japan that says, and it shows you the culture of Japan is, I must not be a bother or an obstacle to you. That's their culture. When they step on an escalator, they step to one side automatically.
In case
anybody wants to pass. There is a policy that if there is traffic, their policy says if there is traffic, all the cars pull to the shoulder and leave the center free for emergencies. And nobody, no private taxi gonna come flying up that center lane. In Trinidad, yes. But their culture is from the moment traffic grinds to a halt, pull to the shoulder on either side and free the center, create a lane for emergencies. We have no culture like that. And no, but it would. Because like Japan, like Singapore, like Holland and Sweden and Switzerland.
They also enforce their rules there.
Correct, correct. And that's the point. That if we created a culture where our people understood that my right to swing my fist stops at your right to not be hit in the face, and that if I stepped over my right into yours, I would have to sacrifice some of my rights, that there would be a consequence, that there would be enforcement. Yes?
Consequences and responsibility.
But we can't get the masses at the bottom rung of society to obey the law on toe these lines if we have people up on the top getting away with criminality. We have to clean up the police service. We've spoken to people in the New York City Police Department, Internal Affairs, and they are willing to clean up Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and they say it can be done in 6 months. And they have a record of having done that successfully. Because 2 decades ago, New York City was the murder capital of the world. Now New York City is the tourism capital of the world. Same place. Same place. And you have to see that and accept it. When Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues, he didn't lie. Finland has the #1 education system in the world. We've been talking about that for a while. Now it's become public knowledge. And we say, the Progressive Empowerment Party say, copy and paste. Singapore has a shipping industry second to none. Copy and paste. If you want things to work, go to the countries that have made it work successfully. Holland is under sea level. Holland has been managing floods since the 16th century.
Yeah, that's true. The under sea level means they could flood away the battery to bullet 6-1. Panama scored and they celebrated.
Panama scored?
Yeah. They're going on to less.
Yeah? But the truth of the matter is that we are not going to get any of these things that we are talking about by putting the same people that caused the problem back into government and expect them to be the solution.
Because we are accustomed, we know them. We are accustomed voting for them. Many people say, I know you. Well, they know this one. They are accustomed voting for it. It's a tradition. Certain parliamentarians, we have politicians we have out there like it's an institution to vote for. People are accustomed voting for him in Maraval. They're not accustomed to anything different. They don't want to vote anybody different because they don't know them. What you going to do for me? They're accustomed not getting anything. They prefer to be accustomed to not getting something than to have the hope that they might actually get something because they're not sure about the person. They don't trust the person, but they trust who they know not to give them anything.
But you know what that is?
That's
You just said
they trust somebody not to give them something than to have trust in somebody who might give them something.
But what you just said there is a narrative. And that narrative is put in the public space. It's like racial voting is a narrative. What you do is you create an idea that everybody thinks that everybody will be shopping on Christmas Day, so you go and shop on Christmas Day because there's a narrative. That if you love your wife, buy her a diamond because she will know that you love her. That's a narrative. And you buy that narrative whole. That's the job of marketing, advertising, and communication, to set the narrative in trade. The narrative that we should be setting in Trinidad and Tobago is this. Government is a tool of social management. Government's job is to manage society to the well-being of all the citizenry. That we should elect people to office based on their ability to do that job. I have said repeatedly, and I look forward to the opportunity on issues, plans, policies, programs, ideas that renovate and rescue Trinidad and Tobago. I would love an opportunity to debate both Keith Rowley and Kamala Persad-Bissessar. I think that debate would be a massive opportunity for all of us in Trinidad and Tobago to ask questions. I think that debate should be as long as the people want it to go. I think all the questions should come from the people and it should be effectively moderated so that everybody follows the rules. And I'm willing to say that the winner and the loser of that debate should be willing to be held to a standard that if you lose the debate, leave politics and don't ever come back. I'm willing to say that I will never speak again.
So you're challenging Keith Rowley and Kamala Persad-Bissessar
public debate.
A public debate, not a private debate.
Public
debate so everybody could see and hear what is being discussed.
Bring all the leaders.
Debated.
Bring all the leaders. If Caroline C. Persad-Bechan is the leader of COP,
I think that will scare them. That they have to leave if they lose. No,
they tell it out. They will never agree to that.
Not like that.
No, but I listen. If they beat me, I will get out of politics. And I'm telling you that for a fact. If they could do, if in any way they could win that debate, I will get out of politics and never speak on Trinidad politics again. But if Caroline C. Persad-Bechan is a real leader of a real political party, bring her too. If David Abdullah is a real leader of a real political party, bring him too. And what you want to do is have a stunt-free debate. Answer the question as asked. What would you do to make sure that everybody could own a home? What would you do to turn the minimum wage into a living wage? What would you do to transform public health from the disaster that it is right now to one that serves the people? What would you do to move education from the failure that it is right now so that all of our children get the same benefit of a privileged school, a privileged education, prestige education, and come out of school with a chance at hope and opportunity and maximizing their potential? What would you do to make Trinidad and Tobago food independent? What would you do to guarantee every single citizen of this country water in their taps 24/7? What would you do? What would you do?
That would be a good thing.
What would you do to secure the borders of this country? What would you do to end the drug trade? What would you do to bring white-collar criminals to justice? What would you do to end white-collar criminality in the country? What would you do to clean up the police service? What would you do with the army? This is a political football. Nobody knows what they're doing with the army or the regiment. We have a plan for everything. How would you stop flooding? How would you manage plastics? What would you do about the environment? What is your position on animals? These are important questions to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And until these people, Keith Rowley and Kamla Persad-Bissessar, could put aside all of the stunting, put aside all of the theatrics, put aside all of the bacchanal and the noise, and focus on these issues, Trinidad and Tobago would become a better nation.
So I could say confidently the challenge has been put out. So get the word, get the talk going. Let them hear if they're not listening already. Philip Alexander of the Progressive Empowerment Party has challenged Keith Rowley of the PNM and Kamla Persad-Bissessar of the UNC to a public debate for everyone to see, to answer questions. Now, in a case like this, they want to have their own questions put in so they can ask, like, what you have for breakfast, and you can debate about that. Something safe. They want to have safe questions. But it's not about safety. Remember, these are people who are leaders in our society who are dealing with the people's money to see about society. And then, for some reason, we wonder where the people's money is, how the money is spent. The people's money being spent on the people. We're not really seeing it. We see how it's being spent on private interests. Think about it. Think about it.
Kevin, on the 16th of July, yeah, we had I wrap up my headphones, so I had to put it through the monitor.
Good morning. Yes, good morning to you.
Your phone's on.
Hearing you.
Okay, what would you do to change up the disaster, as we call that health system, a healthcare system? I would really like to hear that now,
Why?
But then you say that they were TP ideas.
No, we put
He went and talked about shipping, and he never spoke that before, but he listened to your videos, and tell me he listened to your videos because it's teaching every single idea. So.
All right, thank you. So you heard the question.
Yeah, well, okay, thanks a lot for that, caller. Thanks for the support. Our public health idea is a simple one. We want to create 41 24/7 accident and emergency health centers, one in each constituency, capable of handling and stabilizing all of the critical issues that could take somebody to the emergency department. So we're creating a 24/7 emergency room, complete with minor surgery suite that could stabilize heart attack, stroke, gunshot, dismemberment, broken limbs, car accident, and that sort of triage, and stabilize and treat with poisoning, stuff like that. That unless you need to go to the hospital to have actual surgery done on a big scale that takes a lot of time, that emergency response, we plan 41 constituency-based accident and emergency 24/7. These are also walk-in clinics managed by nurse practitioners. A nurse practitioner is a higher level to a nurse, and we want to bring the legislation that allows for nurse practitioners to practice in Trinidad and Tobago. So it's a position between nurse and doctor, so that you could have doctors on call 24/7 for these public health centers. But the nurse practitioners could more or less take care of most of the issues unless they need a doctor, and they call out for a doctor. Each of these health facilities will have a dedicated ambulance. And because they're walk-in clinics, if you have a job and you also need to go and get your food badge or take a blood test and do that kind of stuff, you can do that 9 o'clock in the night, 10 o'clock in the night after work.
Wow, imagine that. I mean, these things are really kind of going on after maybe 10 hours that you can get these things still happening,
It's sad. That, right? It's sad that we can make that as a joke, but it's sad. Listen, on the 16th of July, the people of Barataria and Belmont East have an opportunity to send an earthquake through the political directorate of Trinidad and Tobago. The Progressive Empowerment Party has two very powerful candidates who will do the job. But putting that aside, just by voting for Felicia Holder in Belmont East and by voting for Christophe Samlal in Barataria, those two constituencies will get so much, those two districts will get so much attention from government and opposition. They will be treated like they've never been treated before. And I've told, when Nylong Hippolyte was the member of parliament for Laventille West, I told him, I said, Nylong, Keith Rowley's going to get rid of you. And before he does that, marginalize Laventille. Take away the diehard off of the constituency. Let those political parties fight for the right to represent you, because that's what it takes right now. If there are 2 orange dots on the entire representation map, 2 things will happen. The level of representation our people will offer is second to none. I mean, they have the entire orange army behind them to make sure that they get the support that they need in our advisory council. Brilliant people worldwide. Unlike Keith Rowley, I love intelligent people. I love talking to people brighter than me so I could learn more. And our advisory council, amazing group of people all over the world, bringing all sorts of skill sets and ideas to bear. Our councillors, our candidates become councillors. Christophe Samlal, Felicia Holder would have access to that. They would operate at the highest level, a higher level that has ever happened at that level in our politics. And because of that, because the PNM and the UNC would be shown up for their incompetence and their mismanagement, they will have to up their game. It is time to change the way political representation is done in the country. And Belmont East and Barataria have the opportunity to begin that change. Yesterday in Barataria, the crowd was huge and growing, and then we got this rainstorm. But I was so proud because I knew that we don't pay a single person to come to one of our meetings. So before, as we were growing, a brand new party, 17 months old, clowns like Inshan Ishmael and Marcia Brave Boys would make joke and say we get 50 people and 20 people. Well, no problem. Judy Raymond did it for the Belmont East. And our people had to laugh because there were 20 people involved in just putting up that massive stage and operating.
Yeah, I was surprised. I said, wait, was a big stage can put some here for it.
Full up the whole Atlantic Road, but we came to do the job. We came to say that we're not pelting a stone in Belmont. We are here to represent Belmont East. And Felicia Holder is from Belmont East. Christophe Samlal is from Barataria. They're very clear.
Issues in their community.
They're very clear.
Like to make better.
If we fix Belmont East and we fix Barataria, they benefit.
They're not representing a community yet, going to live in a fancy one somewhere else. You have no idea what's going on in your community.
Belmont East could benefit from an urban renewal that could raise the value of those properties 3, 4, 5 times. Belmont is poised in close proximity to Port of Spain and the Queen's Park Savannah. Belmont is supposed to be one of the most successful suburbs of Trinidad. It should be, and it could be, with proper representation. Barataria, where Barataria is poised at the heart of any future development plan that takes Port of Spain eastward, Barataria is supposed to benefit and be able to grow as a residential and as a quasi-commercial district. Having proper representation. I couldn't believe I stood up yesterday on 6th Street, Barataria, and those people don't even have pavements or sidewalks. In Barataria, how could that be? Why the councillors of the communities not making noise? Where the hell is our pavement? In this box drain nation? It is disgusting. It is contempt for the people. And to go back with these same PNM and UNC stunt artists to represent these 2 failed political ideologies that have robbed, plundered, and pillaged this nation is an obscenity of epic proportions. The voters have a responsibility to themselves and their loved ones to do better. And they have a responsibility to this nation to send a message that we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, are fed up of this. And next week, Saturday, on the 30th of June, we lime in at PEP headquarters. The curry queue, come and have curry with us. It's $60 a ticket. All of our fundraising is transparent and public. We are not one of those parties that were founded in Afghanistan. We are a real party. By the people, of the people, for the people, from the people. We need your help. And if it's $60, the other night I did a live video that went on for 4 hours. And we did it like a little telethon.
Yeah.
And I asked people to support and sponsor some of the tickets. And Sheldon Ramnath jumped out first and he said, I'll take 100. And he said, go and give it to the homeless. So Saturday, the 30th of June, we will be liming at PEP headquarters. That's the same lime we had last year when Morgan Job was there and Crazy came and all of these people were passing through, come through, because they always surprise people coming by to say, hey, we with y'all and we're lime. We're not selling any alcohol, but if you walk with your cooler, we'll drink with you. Yeah? And while that lime is going on, we're going to have music playing, DJs and stuff. While that's going on, the PEP candidates and some members are going downtown with all of the lunches that were bought by people as a donation. We're going downtown with those lunches and give it to the homeless. And that's going to be done live on social media for the people who are overseas and bought tickets. And you could come and be a part of that. Bring your family, even if you don't want to buy a ticket. If you just want to come and lime, it's free. Come and be a part of the growing family for change. Come and be a part of the Progressive Empowerment Party. Come and hang out with us. And I want to just share a little bit of information before we go. peptrinbago@gmail.com is our email address. peptrinbago@gmail.com. We have a website, peptt.com, peptt.com. We have an app, PEP APP. It's available on all the app stores for free. 2 words, PEP APP, PEP app. On the PEP app, there is PEP Radio. Check that out. We're getting into the online media business. Kevin is supposed to come and give us some pointers and some tips on how to run that. Our hotline is 347-4PEP, 347-4PEP. Our headquarters is at 19 Stanmore Avenue in Port of Spain. And if you want to be a part of this growing movement of change, one people under one flag, you could access us through any of those things. You could message me on Facebook. You could come to the office every Saturday at noon. We have a meet and greet. This party, Kevin, in 17 months, has had 17 public meetings. 18 now that we've had Barataria. We've had over, I lose count, over 50 Saturday meet and greet meetings where the people come and spend 3-4 hours with us and we hang out on the line. And there's a sharing. There's always food. Somebody always brings something and like fishes and loaves, it always is always enough. So if you want to come and be a part of what we're doing, feel very free. All of us at some point were part of another political organization. Change, time for change, time for us to move on, move forward. And as the man say in the song, if it's you that vote them in, vote them out. Yeah? Hey.
I thought it was a Betty Crocker, but she
Hey.
was insulted apparently it was from scratch.
Hey.
It's real good.
Hey. We have 2 people in the party so far, Suzanne and Lorena, and when they cook partner, it's trouble and worries. And just now, one of the...
Suzanne make, I swear she buy that.
No, the woman is incredible. But just now we're having a pep line called Peppers Who Could Cook. So you will come and you'll be a judge. I know you ain't cooking nothing. So you'll come unless corned beef boiling salt water is a thing, you come in and you come in as a judge.
Myself, but I don't eat corned beef.
Tell me.
I could make a pepper soup very well.
We were stranded in Tobago once. We have 1 minute. We were stranded in Tobago once for a great race. We had no money. We had no food. We got a tin of corned beef and a pot. And we put it in water, salt water from the sea and boil it. And eat that in a bag of cricks. But now when you're hungry, anything that tastes good. Anything that tastes good. Anyway, thanks a lot for coming out again, Kevin. I know this is your Sunday morning. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks to all the people who've been following us live on social media, and to all the people on the radio and all the callers. Thank all of you. We're doing this for you, with you, by you, of you, from you. Come and be a part of us. The Orange Revolution is growing. Come and be a part of it. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.
Ah, boy, people. That's Philip Alexander of the Progressive Empowerment Party. Now it's time